And U.S. military says it fired at and disabled an Iranian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman after the vessel ignored warnings.
On business news, Dangote Refinery denies reports of a fuel price increase, maintaining that its petrol price remains at 1,275 naira per litre.
On sports news tonight, FIFA hands down global suspension to Benfica winger Gianluca Prestiani over abuse of Vinicius Jr.
And from the nation's capital, there's another attack on Plateau as gunmen kill family of 6 in a wave of violence on Barkinladi local government area. We begin tonight at the Red Chamber, which turned a bit chaotic today as proceedings got disrupted over 15 minutes following a tense exchange between Senator Adams Oshiomhole and the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during plenary. Well, that incident began as the Senate President Akpabio read the votes and proceedings from the legislative session of the previous day. On the section of amendment of standing orders, Senator Oshiomhole raised a point of order, but the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, overruled him, citing the provisions of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended, which does not allow such interventions at that stage. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
24 hours after lawmakers amended new standing rules in a closed-door session, the outcome of that discussion still reverberates. Among the revised rules is the amendment of the Senate Standing Orders, which restricts eligibility to contest for the office of the Senate President to ranking senators of not less than 8 years consecutively. The amendment further stipulates that at least one of the 2 terms must be the immediate term preceding the nomination, effectively narrowing the field of contenders. These amendments was the bone of contention, particularly for one aggrieved lawmaker who raised a point of order, apparently seeking to question the legality of the entire exercise in an outburst that was ignored.
Point of order comes after the correction of the votes. You cannot raise point of order. And I've said it, people have been in these chambers for 3 years now. We should begin to know the rules of the Senate. I don't want to be accused of executive arrogance. That's why I keep tolerating these things. Please, there's no new senator any longer. There's no new senator any longer. Let us try our best to abide by the rules here. Am I right? So point of order, you are ruled out of order.
Distinguished Senator Adams Oshiomhole, I am now invoking powers conferred to the office of the Chief Whip to order you to resume your seat and be guided by the ruling of the presiding officer.
Despite repeated interventions, the lawmaker persisted on being heard, prompting a visibly displeased president to sound a final note of warning.
Senator Oshiomhole, for the last time, if you become unruly in the Senate, we will use these same rules to take you out of the Senate. So this is the last warning.
Calm was eventually restored after about 15 minutes of disruption of plenary.
In his new party,
away from the altercation, the Senate relaxed its rules to admit the president's ministerial nominee, Mr. Tegbe Olasukomi, for screening.
I've acquired Masters in Business Administration from University of Birmingham.
Lawmakers poured out their grievances with the power sector.
As long as we continue to do it the way we have been doing it in this country, we'll never get it right. It's to swallow our pride. Call on one of the major successful advanced countries, preferably China. Give them this project of power in Nigeria. Run it for 20 years. Give us stable power, get your money back and move out.
So you're going to meet, first, the generator cabal.
So, when you ramp up power and want to take over, you're dealing with their gare, and they're going to come after you.
Distinguished senators, I will not stand here and say tomorrow I'll give you 24 hours. But what I will tell you, and I'll be very honest about it, is I will ensure that visible improvement is seen across the country in the shortest time possible. I will commit that we will replace uncertainty for Nigerians with clarity, inefficiency with discipline, and promises with measurable progress.
It was a more relaxed atmosphere during the turn of Ambassador Shola Enikan-Laye.
We cannot be giant to Africa, and we are minions in the eyes of countries that we post ambassadors to.
Indeed, the nations are in a very deplorable state. Most of them arising for paucity of funds. So when you delay a month or 2 or 3, 4 months, it becomes a big issue.
The both nominees are subsequently confirmed as ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The appointment and nomination of Ambassador Enikan-Laye is hereby confirmed as a minister of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And the Senate President had earlier explained that the screening for confirmation of the President Tinubu's ministerial nominees had to be done at the Committee of the Whole and not at the committee levels, because the Senate will, in a matter of days, embark on recess ahead of the political parties' primary elections. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, is asking Nigerians to be wary of fraudulent politicians as he accuses members of the People's Democratic Party, loyal to Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, and Mr. Tani Moturaki and others, of fraud and deliberate disregard of court proceedings and rulings in the lingering leadership crisis. Speaking during the media chat with journalists in Abuja, Mr. Wike dismissed claims of an interim leadership agreement in the party, describing such moves as illegal and deceptive.
It's the monthly media chat of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory as journalists converge on his official residence for an interaction. The chat begins with the minister addressing the controversy surrounding the popular Jabi Lake recreational ground.
Quite elaborate presentation, and I was to it. But in my own usual way, we have been having this kind of people who call they want to invest, and you give them the land at the end of the day, you don't say anything. Just like the person that was allocated 15 good years, nothing has happened. I revoked it. The moment I revoked it, all kinds of calls started coming. I don't want to mention the person that said was involved. No, he was in this bank, he didn't have this chance, now he's willing now to go and invest. I said, look, 15 good years. You have abandoned this place. Now we have revoked it. So now give it to people who want to really invest. You're now working for your slumber. So now say, I'm now ready to do that. I say, look, we're tired of this.
The leadership crisis of the People's Democratic Party dominates discussions, as the minister maintains that the Supreme Court has laid the matter to rest.
And now see, you have refused to tell the public what is on ground. And you are coming now to say, we are setting up a caretaker committee. How? And you are deceiving people that you want to sell funds. I dare anybody say. I dare them say, let me see a place, office. You will name PDP, National Secretary. Let me dare them. Open office anywhere in Abuja.
The minister argued that the ongoing attempts to constitute what he describes as an illegal caretaker management are efforts to mislead party members and unsuspecting members of the public.
If you are saying that you want to sell funds, to who? You will submit it where? Is that not fraud? You know that the judgment, you went to court. We didn't go to court. You went to court, and court gave judgment against you. You have not even stated the execution of that judgment. You've not set aside that judgment. And you're not coming to deceive people. We are setting up a caretaker committee who want to begin to sell funds. Is that not fraud?
He ends the chat by criticizing some politicians, including senior lawyers and party leaders, describing it as an erosion of integrity, accusing them of undermining institutions for personal gain.
The National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has approved a waiver of screening requirements for President Bola Tinubu ahead of the party's forthcoming primary elections. And this decision was reached at the party's 188th National Working Committee meeting in Abuja, where it also resolved to deem the president as duly screened in line with the party's constitution, clearing him to participate in the primaries. According to the statement issued by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Felix Moka, the waiver also granted in pursuance to Article 13.4 and the party's constitution, which empowers the NWC to organize and supervise primaries and under special circumstances grants waivers in the party's best interest. According to the statement, the waiver is hinged on overwhelming endorsement for President Bola Tinubu from key stakeholders within the party, including the Progressive Governors Forum, members of the National Assembly, and vote of confidence passed on the president at the APC National Summit held on May the 22nd, 2025, as well as similar affirmations. And as political parties prepare for the 2027 general elections, the electoral umpire is not left out. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joshua Mukwiton, is advocating stronger collaboration with the Nigerian police force. Speaking in Abuja while on a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police at the force headquarters, Professor Mukwiton says the success of the 2027 polls scheduled for January and February next year depends largely on a secure environment and close synergy between the electoral body and security agencies. In his response, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, reaffirmed the commitment of the force to provide adequate security before, during, and after the elections.
Prepare for the election, which I am sure already aware is scheduled for the 10th of January 2027 for the presidential election, as well as 6th of February 2027 for the governorship and houses of assembly elections all over Nigeria. I'd like to formally inform you of our ongoing preparations. Seek your valuable support in ensuring a peaceful, transparent, and credible elections.
I reaffirm the Nigerian Police Force as the lead agency in electoral security. We fully understand the enormous responsibility placed on us. And as the lead agency in managing electoral matters, the Nigerian Police is ever ready to take up the responsibility once again that they have always done. So I give you the commitment of our members of the Nigerian Police Force to be free, fair, and ensure a credible election. I assure you that under the present leadership of the Nigerian Police Force, we will remain professional, impartial, fair, and guided strictly by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In part two, after the break, federal government approves policy to check the abuse and politicization of award of honorary degrees. Please join us again.
For you, every day is day one. Day one for you to give 100. 100 on the tracks, on the road, at work, because it's your job to give your all. 100 with the gang. And on the dance floor. Truth is, You're not wired to give less. Your future is now. So live it real, loud, full and free. You live it 100.
So creamy. Tastes better with Cremella.
Enjoy the deliciously rich taste of Cremella Crema.
For any other choice of meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even between meals.
It's hard to resist the deliciously rich taste of Cremella. It tastes better with Cremella.
Oh. You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
TerraQ, now available in crayfish. TerraQ, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Roll it up, feel the thrill with action beaters. So cool, it pulls the shine in your eyes. Action beaters, sip it slow, let it flow. Get it on, the world is waiting.
Action Bitters, true African roots, made from distinctive quality ingredients by Intercontinental Distillers Limited.
Tired of the snow? Tired of the bad TV signals? Nigeria has gone digital. Introducing Free TV, the national platform for every Nigerian. Get 100 plus channels immediately. Sports, news, and entertainment in your native language with clear picture quality. Whether you're in the city or the village, our satellite signal reaches every corner of 36 states from day one. No monthly subscription, just a compatible decoder, and you are set. It's a national asset built for you. Take the show on the road, download the Free TV app, and stream your favorite channels anywhere. Starting this May, scan to download the app or call 0700 388 7277. Free TV, digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.
Oh. You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita, prepare them to win every day.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Senator Adams Oshiomhole engage in heated exchange during a clash over newly introduced Senate leadership rules. National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress waives screening requirements for President Bola Tinubu ahead of the party's presidential primary. Federal government approves policy aimed at curbing the abuse of politicization of award of honorary degrees. And U.S. military says it fired at and disabled an Iranian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman after the vessel ignored warnings. Ambassador Aminu Dalhatu today presented his letters of credence to King Charles III in Buckingham Palace, formally assuming his role as Nigeria's top diplomat in the United Kingdom. This appointment comes weeks after President Bola Tinubu's state visit to Windsor Castle, as both countries move to deepen bilateral relations now worth more than £8 billion in trade. Ambassador Dalhatu, a career diplomat and former ambassador to South Korea, spoke exclusively to our London correspondent Julian Olainka about his priorities and what this moment means for Nigeria.
It is indeed remarkable that I have assumed duty as the High Commissioner soon after the historic state visit by our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is, and it has remained, a focus of discussion both in diplomatic and commercial circles here. As you are aware, this mission is the flagship mission of Nigerian diplomacy. It is the oldest mission we have had, and it is the biggest mission. And that may not be unconnected with our historic relationship with the host country. My work is cut out. There are moves already to reconnect the British private sector with the Nigerian counterparts. We are getting help from the reform measures taken at home by our president in the areas of tax liberalization and other incentives that have been set aside for whoever wants to invest in Nigeria. What makes my job easier is that British private sector are fully aware of the potentials in Nigeria, and many of them are eager to resume both commercial and investment connections with Nigeria.
The Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, has announced the approval of a uniform policy to check the growing abuse and politicization of award of honorary degrees, including the practice of awarding them to serving public officials. Addressing State House correspondents, the minister said it is one of the approvals obtained by the ministry at the last Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu. He also announced the approval of the second memo establishing the National Research and Innovation Development Fund, aimed at raising $500 million annually to foster collaboration among research agencies, academia, and the industry.
Honorary degrees have revealed a growing abuse and politicization of this academic privilege, leading to concerns over awards being used for political patronage or financial gain, as well as conferral of award on serving public officials. As part of the ethics of award of public honorary degrees, this should not be awarded to any serving public officials, but we've seen that misuse in the last several years. Also, as people were awarded these honorary degrees, they started misusing the acronym doctor, putting doctor in front of their name. The Nigeria Research and Innovation Development Fund will foster collaboration among research agencies, academia, and industry, and promote strategic allocation of resources in line with national priorities. It will also stimulate innovation and excellence through competition and enhance flexibilities in responding to emerging challenges, and ensure transparency and accountability in funding decisions.
Let's continue the news at 10 now, as we head over to the nation's capital, Abuja, to join Millicent Walker for more on the news at 10. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. We turn our attention to security matters now, where fresh violence has again struck Plateau State following a deadly attack by gunmen on Ding Susut community in Fan district of Bakinladi local government area, leaving at least 6 persons dead and 3 others injured. The late-night attack, which occurred on Tuesday, has heightened fears among residents amid growing concerns over recurring violence in parts of the state. Residents say the attackers stormed the community at about 8 p.m. and opened fire on people who were seated outside their homes. A community member, Wayne Christopher, told our correspondent that the gunmen attacked members of a family seated in their compound, triggering panic in the area. Reacting to the incident, the Publicity Secretary of Birom Youth Molders, Wang Tengwong, expressed concern that the affected community is located about 50 meters from a military checkpoint, yet attacks continue to occur. Meanwhile, the Plateau State Police Command has confirmed the attack, stating that 5 persons, including 4 females, a 9-year-old boy, were killed, while 3 other female victims sustained varying degrees of injuries and are receiving treatment at the General Hospital. Staying in the north, the rains are here and have brought along some intensity. A powerful rainstorm has left a trail of destruction in Dokamai Jama, a community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, killing at least 2 people and destroying more than 50 houses. The village head, Hadmisu Tuka, confirms that the storm which struck on Monday evening displaced many residents, causing extensive damage to dozens of houses, with several completely flattened by strong winds. In nearby Sabonyero, located within Millennium City in the same local government area, the storm also caused significant damage, destroying houses and over 10 perimeter fences. Emergency officials have since begun assessing the situation, with NEMA deploying a team to evaluate the extent of damage and determine the necessary response. Meanwhile, authorities, including the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, have warned of increased rainfall intensity this year. Well, staying in Kaduna State, a federal high court sitting in Kaduna will Thursday, May 7th, 2026, deliver ruling on the variation of the existing bail conditions granted to former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Mr. El-Rufai is being arraigned by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, over allegations tied to financial misconduct and abuse of office during his time in office as Governor of Kaduna State. At previous sittings, the court had heard arguments from both the prosecution and defence on whether the former governor should be granted bail pending the determination of the case. The ICPC had opposed bail, arguing that the defendant could interfere with witnesses or ongoing investigations. And bordering Kaduna State to the south is Nasarawa State, where stakeholders have signed the Lafia Declaration, the Nasarawa Economic Continuity and Competitiveness Pact. The pact, which was signed on day 1 of the Nasarawa Investment Summit 2026, held in Lafia, the state capital, is geared towards sustaining economic gains and enhancing investor confidence. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, was a special guest of honor at the summit. Our correspondent Halima Gayam has more.
The Vice President for the Republic of Nigeria.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is ushered into the banquet hall of the government house by Governor Abdullahi Sule alongside other dignitaries.
The Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency.
He is the special guest of honor for the Nasarawa Investment Summit 2026. Themed Bold Transitions, the summit hopes to build a legacy for a sustainable future.
The Nasarawa Investment Summit 2026 introduces a deeper conversation on how reforms can be embedded within enduring systems of governance, how investor confidence can be protected during political transitions, and how the next generation of economic policies can build on the foundations already established.
In the past 7 years, Governor Abdullahi Sule has championed policies that has opened Nasarawa State to investors. He hopes that the vision is sustained.
Since the conception of this summit in 2022, each edition has reflected a distinct phase in the state's economic transformation. The state has succeeded in introducing Nasarawa to investors and its corresponding potentials. This is the last summit under our administration, which is no doubt a defining moment in the economic and governance trajectory of our state. I need to state that 2026 is not merely a continuation of the state's investment promotion efforts, but a strategic platform to consolidate on the existing gains and chart a pathway for the next phase of economic transformation.
Delivering a keynote address, the Vice President highlights the improvement in foreign reserves.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when we assumed the mantle of leadership, our foreign reserves was a paltry $3.99 billion. It wasn't enough to import fuel even for a month. So some of the decisions that the President took were almost inevitable. But he never ran to town with stories about national bankruptcy because he knows the consequences of a run on the economy. He took the bold decision. The removal of fuel subsidy was not part of his speech. He kept it close to his heart. And now, our gross external reserves rose above $46 billion in 2025.
He notes that this has surged revenues, enabling governors to deliver dividends of democracy.
Across the Federation, states are no longer condemned to wait at the margins of national ambition. They now have the means to build roads, fund infrastructure, support enterprise, expand opportunities, and invest in the human capital that turns communities into engines of growth. Latvia, 10 years ago, was a small rural outpost struggling to wear the looks of modernity. Today, go around Latvia and see flyovers, beautiful roads, wonderful edifices. These are products of good governance.
The summit featured 2 panel discussions which explored institutionalizing reforms and making progress irreversible, as well as X-rayed investor expectations and risk management.
The critical minerals sector, Nasarawa has all 7.
For economic continuity, competitiveness, and enhanced investor confidence, stakeholders signed the Lafia Declaration. The 3rd Nasarawa Investment Summit hosted investors from across the world who are seeking to partner with the state or expand existing ventures as the state maintains that it has improved the business climate tremendously and is open for business. Halima Agayem, Channels Television News.
To the head on the news at 10, Dangote Refinery denies reports of a fuel price increase, maintained that its petrol price remains at 1,275 naira per litre. That's coming up on Business News. Please join us again.
I keep asking you to download the Smart Cash app and begin to enjoy 0 charges on your transfers. No be cho. If I hear say Smart Cash no charge you for this transaction, make I bend.
No matter the transaction, Smart Cash no go charge you shishi. Whether na airtime or na data you buy, or you want pay for your light or na cable bill, na 0 charges for Smart Cash. This one no be cho. Work is day. Make yourself download Smart Cash app or dial *939# sharp.
My baba they always say, for market, every day get your own wahala. Sometimes people go want scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, that's *955*131#. Baba press and lock account. from market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My papa fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Oh. You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
For decades, young Nigerians have looked for a reliable way to save and invest money.
I don't understand. How is it a scam? How?
But we are now proud to celebrate 10 years of PiggyVest changing that story forever.
I use PiggyVest too. It's PiggyVest that I used. See how happy I am. Go and download the app now.
PiggyVest, the better way to save and invest.
You're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja studios. And it sure was a busy day for Vice President Kashim Shettima, who also commissioned the headquarters of Kursi Group Company in Abuja. The headquarters, located in Wuse 2 area of the nation's capital, is aimed at diversifying and boosting the company's operations in the solid minerals sector, as well as promoting industrial growth.
This is Kursi Group, a pioneering indigenous mining company in Nigeria, specializing in processing and trade in solid minerals.
From the earth.
Kursi Group is also into engineering and agriculture, and it refines mineral resources like gold, silver, bronze, tin ore, nickel, and other solid minerals. Dignitaries at the commissioning of its new headquarters in Abuja include Vice President Kashim Shettima, Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, the Emir of Ilorin, among others. Vice President Kashim Shettima commissions the building. The management team leads the dignitaries on a tour of the building. The chairman of the company, Mr. Abdul Fattah Gambari, highlights the impact of the commissioning.
Building this place is something that we've been working on over the years, believing in giving back to Nigerians. You know, so many people will think, why do you do this here in Nigeria? You know, from the mine to the market. And I think that's what Mr. President has been preaching, and what we've been looking at or working on, value addition in all that we do. So what we do, or what we have done in this building, is just to tell the world that Kursi Group of Company has taken the lead in the mining sector.
Mr. Gambari also sheds light on the operations of the company.
Kursi Group is a company, like I said earlier, all we do surrounds solid mineral, right? From gold to other commodities in the sector. Everything you see there, we didn't go to Dubai, we didn't go to India, we didn't go to anywhere. We produce them here. So that shows Nigerians that we can actually do it. And we're getting there gradually by the special grace of God.
The opening of the company's headquarters is expected to create more job opportunities, increase economic activities, and revenue generation to boost the nation's economy.
And that's our bit from the nation's capital. Anne, it's now back to you.
Thank you, Millicent. The comments made earlier today by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, during his media chat with channels, is making money from the land allocated to it in Guzape in the FCT is not correct. The property houses Channels Television's national headquarters in Abuja. The land was allocated to Channels Television on March the 6th, 2007, and that's 19 years, 2 months ago, for commercial purposes by the then Minister of the FCT and all required fees and charges were fully paid. To other stories now, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Bakoba, has identified what he calls a structural failure to collect, remit and account for the revenue belonging to the Nigerian people, which results in an estimated loss of 20 trillion naira every year. As at a press briefing held in Lagos today, Mr. Bakoba released to the media a landmark policy paper titled The Federation Account of Nigeria and the Infinite Possibilities. When the framework is put right, a framework for full remittance and fiscal responsibility. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shieli reports.
At this press briefing in his office in Lagos, Senior Advocate of Nigeria Olisa Bakoba released his policy paper focused on fiscal policy reform with the central objective of making sure that Section 162 of the Constitution works. The section provides that the Federation shall maintain a special account to be called the Federation Account, into which shall be paid all revenues collected by the government. The former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, however, noted that this law is not being followed.
NNPC is still deducting between 60 and 80% of revenue. So what they do is, when they get revenue, suppose they get, let us say, $2 billion, they now do what is called deducting OPEX. OPEX means operating expenses. They deduct it. Then they say, here's the change. Then they pay into Federation account. The master is doing the same. MP is doing the same. Everybody is doing the same. So these people are already well funded. You know what they now do? They now present budgets. So you see the double spend. They deduct, contrary to the Constitution. Then they still present a budget to appropriate the very monies they have kept. So we have lost like 200 trillion in the last 10 years.
According to the senior advocates, the constitutional amendment will ensure that all revenue is paid in without any deductions, and this will also reduce the need to borrow and the debt burden.
So see what we've done with our proposed amendment. All revenues accruing to the Federation shall be paid into the Federation account in gross. If this happens, our national force will jump by at least 20 trillion. As the presidential elections loom, in 2027, where our money goes must be on the ballot.
While advising Nigerians to vote for the candidate who is best able to articulate and implement a fiscal discipline regime, he asked the president to act decisively and close the identified constitutional loophole. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
As a company news now, MTN Foundation is expanding its nationwide social impact drive with fresh investments in healthcare and education infrastructure. At a media parley, the organization announced the flag-off of the 2026 edition of its What Can We Do Together initiative.
The MTN Foundation has flagged off the 2026 Phase 6 edition of its What Can We Do Together initiative that started in 2015. The community-driven intervention program is aimed at giving back to the society.
MTN, through the foundation, has invested $4 billion in every version, every phase of the What Can We Do Together initiative. 3.2 million lives, circa 3.2 million lives have been impacted, 623 communities, 517 local government areas in Nigeria, and we've implemented 5 phases.
This year, the foundation says it will upgrade 40 public primary healthcare centers and 15 secondary school science laboratories across the country through a public nomination process.
Today, as we announce the commencement of the 2026 What Can We Do Together initiative, our objective is very clear. We are looking for the next set of communities to benefit from upgraded PhDs and modernized science laboratories. At MTN, we believe that everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected life. But that life is impossible without strong foundations in health, and in education.
Officials of the Lagos State government present at the occasion believe that the initiative aligns with their commitment to improve access to quality healthcare and education infrastructure for residents.
Lagos is willing to partner for 2026 circle with MTN. We will facilitate community access. We will support the nomination process across our local government areas. And we will ensure that every intervention within our state is sustained well beyond the handover.
MTN Foundation adds that the 2026 rollout is designed to deepen impact at the grassroots and respond directly to the needs of communities.
I think for us at the MTN Foundation, it's about the impact. It's about the lives that will be touched. It's about the future of the young people that then get strengthened because they have access to a laboratory, whether science, whether technology.
The nomination process for the 2026 cycle opens May 5th to July 5th, 2026. Nigerians are encouraged to nominate deserving schools and healthcare centers in their communities through the MTN website or by sending a message to MTN via 421.
Or school, or nominate both and give them.
Let's now join Will Ebong for more stories from the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. And to a commodity impacting lives and businesses. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has denied reports of a fuel price hike, saying there has been no increase in the price of PMS as it maintains its ex-depot price at 1,275 naira per litre. It says the decision reflects its commitment to stability in the energy markets and cushioning the economy from external shocks. The refinery adds that it is absorbing cost pressures to help moderate inflation, support fuel affordability, and also ensure steady supply amid global uncertainties. Dangote Refinery reaffirmed its commitment to consistent fuel supply and energy security. It urged the public to rely only on official statements for accurate pricing information. Now, Africa produces 70% of the world's cocoa, yet captures a fraction of the $170 billion global chocolate market. Today at the London Stock Exchange, the inaugural Africa Cocoa Finance and Investment Forum brought together global investors, policymakers, and industry leaders to change that. Former Ghanaian President John Kufuor delivered the keynote address as leaders debated how to close the gap between Africa's cocoa dominance and its share of the value chain. Our correspondent Juliana Olayinka was there and spoke with Olasukomi Oyemi, Managing Director of Sunbet Global Concepts, one of Nigeria's largest cocoa exporters.
This is the first time an African country that produces cocoa is setting up their own program here in London. And you see every time the international companies back in the Federation of Cocoa Commerce, they always do their conferences, and the Europeans and every other international company supports them. So it just makes absolute sense for an African business to also support every African initiative that is going to help the trade.
From the London Stock Exchange, the NGX domestic equities market rebounded in today's trading session as investors tracked Airtel Africa. Inijomekwa has more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, NGX has recovered after just one day in the red zone. Today, Airtel led that recovery. It gained 10%, which is the maximum for any stock, to close at 3,323 naira 40 kobo. There are other contributors to this green color that we see at the close of trade today. So looking at banking, for instance, we see even though most of the big guys, well, did not move, but we saw First Holdco moved, and that contributed majorly to the 0.51% green color that we see. Consumer goods is also green. Dangote Sugar still appeals to the investors, as well as Honeywell Flour. Oil and gas, however, did not get enough attention, at least not positive attention. O&O got a lot of profit taking today, so it went down
and also dragged the counter down. At the close of trade, though, we did see that investors still brought in some money, about 608 billion naira, and that has kept the market cap at 154.769 trillion naira. The all share almost 0.5% in the green, and we're back to 242,729, but we can do better than this. However, we still have the bull.
Thank you, Ini. We now turn our attention to closing numbers across global stock markets. And that's business news, and Will Ibang is back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, let's now join Saman Pise for more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Donald Trump says the Iran war could end with a deal and warns strikes will restart if one isn't reached. If they don't agree, the bombing starts, and it will be sadly at a much higher level and intensity than it was before, the US president said on social media.
Hello.
It comes a day after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the offensive stage of the Iran war was over. Meanwhile, a senior Iranian parliament member has dismissed US reports of a deal to end the war with Iran being close as an American wish list rather than a reality.
Now, what's really important for you to report and for everyone to understand is this is not an offensive operation. This is a defensive operation. And what that means is very simple. There's no shooting unless we're shot at first. Okay, we're not attacking them. But if they're attacking us or they're attacking a ship, you need to respond to that. You're not going to let some fast boat come up on a ship and shoot it up. We're going to respond to it, and we've been successful at it. I don't know what the exact number is, but I know a number of those fast boats have now been targeted, and will continue to be if they pose a threat to our forces. We'll shoot down drones, we'll shoot down missiles, but it's defensive in nature. This is defensive.
A massive mega tsunami wave created when part of an Alaskan mountain crumbled into the sea is the second tallest ever recorded, and a reminder of the risks posed by melting glaciers, according to scientists. Last summer, a giant wave swept through a remote fjord in southeast Alaska, leaving destruction in its wake. The event went largely unreported at the time, but a new scientific analysis shows tiny earthquakes triggered a massive landslide. An incredible 64 million cubic meters of rock, the equivalent of 24 Great Pyramids, splashed into the water below. The sheer power of that amount of rock plunged into the fjord in under a minute, creating a gigantic wave of almost 500 meters tall.
We're talking about something that was 100 meters of water and going at over 100 kilometers per hour in places. That is so much more violent than what you normally encounter. It's flattening the bushes down and actually tearing the leaves apart. It was such a close call. Like, we know that there were people that were very nearly in the wrong place, and it turned out it worked out just barely. And I'm quite terrified that we're not going to be so lucky in the future.
A 56-year-old British doctor evacuated from a virus-hit cruise ship is in a stable condition after previously being critical. That's according to the Spanish health minister. 3 people were evacuated from the MV Hondias in Cape Verde on Wednesday morning. They are from Britain, Germany and the Netherlands. The other people on board do not have symptoms. Spaniards will be sent to quarantine in Madrid, while non-Spaniards without symptoms will be sent home. The president of the Canary Islands says he opposes the Spanish government's plan to let the ship dock there, but ministers insist the plan to disembark in Tenerife is safe. Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of breaching a unilateral ceasefire announced by Ukraine by launching a wave of drone attacks on several cities. The Ukrainian president said Russia had carried out active hostilities and terrorist shelling targeting the front line as well as firing dozens of drones and missiles at civilian areas. In the Sumi border region, one woman was killed when a kindergarten was hit on Wednesday morning. No children were present at the time. Earlier this week, the two warring sides had announced rival unilateral ceasefires with no agreement on their terms, length or monitoring. And a baby hippo found desperately nudging its dead mother at a lake in Kenya over the weekend is now being hand-reared at a wildlife sanctuary after being rescued. The calf, which has been named Bumpy, was just days old when it became orphaned, according to the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, a charity whose keepers are now taking care of it. After being rescued, the baby hippo spent its first night at a nursery in the capital Nairobi, being fed on milk and wrapped in a blanket. The charity says Bumpy was clearly desperate for comfort and connection and has been glued to his keepers ever since.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Women Football League Premiership has concluded its regular season after March the 18th was decided across the country. In Group A, Edo Queens edged Rivers Angels 2-1. Champions Bayelsa were beaten at Ekiti 1-0. Heartland Queens pipped Adamawa Queens by a lone goal, while relegated Joe Pacesetters Queens and Niger Rattles settled for a 1-0 draw. In Group B, FC Rebel Queens got the best of Nasarawa Masons 2-1. Remo Stars Ladies lost at home to Danas Ladies 2-3, while Abia Angels also suffered a loss to Ahudinayam Queens 1-0. Meanwhile, relegated Sunshine Queens defeated fellow relegated Confluence Queens 2-0, while Delta Queens compounded relegated Oshun Babes Wool with a 3-0 thumping. Now, FIFA has extended Gianluca Prestiani's suspension worldwide after the Benfica winger was originally banned by UEFA. The Argentine was handed a 6-game ban with 3 of them suspended for discriminatory conduct in the first leg of Champions League playoff tie against Real Madrid on February the 17th. Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. accused the 20-year-old Prestiani of racism as they clashed on the field, which Prestiani denies. Prestiani, who made his only international appearance last November, will miss 2 opening games of the World Cup if selected. And in the UEFA Champions League, PSG are in the final for a second consecutive season after a 1-1 draw in their semi-final second leg at Bayern Munich sealed a 6-5 aggregate victory, leading 5-4 after last week's first leg in Paris. Luis Enrique's side stretched their overall advantage early on through Ousmane Dembele. Harry Kane struck in added time for Bayern, but it was too late for a comeback. The others will face Premier League leaders Arsenal on May 30th in Budapest. That's sports. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Senator Adams Oshiomhole today exchanged a heated argument during a clash over newly introduced Senate leadership rules. The National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has waived screening requirements for President Bola Tinubu ahead of the party's presidential primary. And U.S. military says it fired at and disabled an Iranian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman after the vessel ignored warnings. But that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night and stay safe.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Entertainment News on Channels Television. My name is Abide Midairu, and today on the program, the silence is broken as Wunmi Aloba, the widow of a late Mohbad, sets the record straight amid DNA controversy. Plus,